Hi, I'm Jimmy. In this video, we're looking at bonds versus bond ETFs. So recently, somebody came to me and asked me a question. If I want to invest in bonds, can I just buy bond ETFs? Is it the same concept? This is the same idea. And short answer, kind of. It sort of is. But they act a little bit different, and that's the important part that we know. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at 3 different bonds that cover a lot of what the bond ETF market, and we're going to compare those to as if we had invested in an individual standalone bond. Now, to illustrate how they might act differently, well, we're going to look at a few different scenarios. What happens when the market crashes, what happens when they increase interest rates, and what happens when they drop interest rates. So we'll look at how the bond ETFs acted and how the individual bonds acted. Now, just so we're all on the same page, I think it's very important that we all understand the basic concept of how a bond works. So a bond, an individual bond, is a debt instrument that let's say a company or the US Treasury or whoever it might be, but we'll use companies as an example. So a company wants to borrow money, they might issue a bond. And essentially what would happen is if we bought that bond, let's pretend that we bought that bond, well, we would generally get interest twice a year. Semi-annual is the most popular frequency for bond payments. And then at the very end, we would get our principal back. So maybe at the very beginning, we bought, a $1,000 bond. So we pay $1,000. During the time period, we get interest, all the way through to the end. And then the final payment, you'll get final interest payment and also your principal back. So that's the idea here, is that you get all these individual payments, and what your investment, what your return is at the start. Now, since we're assuming we're looking at a corporate bond as an example, one thing to realize is that the risk of a bond is that the company, in theory, goes out of business and can no longer pay its debt. So if it can't pay for the bond, well then that would be bad. If they can only pay partial, well then you would lose money there. So the assumption I'm making is that we're not worried about default risk. We're assuming that this company is going to be in business and have enough cash flow to pay the bond all the way through, and at the end, you're going to get your principal back. Now, just because this is so steady, and by the way, this is super easy to price. What is a bond worth? Well, you can look at any given point in time. You could do the math of all the individual cash flows you would get, discount it back to today, and you know what that bond is worth. Well, just because we might know what we're going to get doesn't mean the bond price would necessarily stay constant through the entire thing. So through this entire investment, hypothetically, the bond price, the price of the bond itself could vary all along the way. The key point here is that at the very end, when you get to where the bond is maturing and you're getting your principal investment back, well, it's going to end up back at 100. So let's imagine, the way they quote bonds, by the way, will be at 100. So if it's a $1,000 bond, well, it'll be quoted at 100. 100 is 100%. If the price goes up to 105, it's 5% above the 100. If it goes down to 95, it's 5% below the 100. Fairly simple, but then the key is that if it's above it, it's going to work its way down when it gets to maturity. When it's below it, it's going to work its way up. It's really that simple. So the idea here is you're going to get a whole bunch of individual interest payments, and at the end, you get your money back. When you buy the bond, you know what your returns will be. That's the best part about bonds. Now, a bond ETF is frankly just a whole bunch of bonds bought together. But, and here's the nuance of this whole thing, the thing that makes them all different is there is no maturity. There is no end payment where you get your money back. You are living and dying by the fluctuations in the prices of the bonds and the interest payments. A lot of bond ETFs will ladder the interest payments, so you'll get like a monthly dividend or something like that, depending on the bond. But usually it'll be a monthly dividend because they stagger how often the bonds are paying them the interest, right? They buy bonds based on that laddering. Okay, but with that in mind, and knowing with a bond ETF that there is no maturity, well, the way you're getting paid then is the dividend payments that you're receiving for the bond ETF and for what the price does. So with that in mind, let's look at some different scenarios. So the first scenario we're looking at is we're going back to the financial crisis of 2008. So the financial crisis happens, and at that time, if we were going to buy an individual bond, the yield at that time, right before the financial crisis started, before the market crashed, was about 5.5%, 6%, 5.8%. Again, hold it for a few years, 5.8% every year until the end, you get your money back. Now, obviously, the S&P 500 got killed in that time period. S&P 500 was down more than 30%. TLT, which is high-yield treasury bonds. So high-yield treasury bonds. These are long-term treasury bonds. That's what I meant to say. Long-term, they target 20 years, right? So 20-year treasury bonds is usually what they're after, although I think their actual time is somewhere in the 16 to 18-year on average until the average bond matures. Well, the advantage of that type of ETF, bond ETF, is that they're a high quality. They're U.S. government bonds. So there's a flight to safety. So when the market starts to crash, oftentimes you will see a flight to safety. And we can see that bond ETF was up 33%. That is total return. So that is what the price of the bond did and the dividend yield for that bond over that time period. By the way, this is from, I covered all of 2008. So I just arbitrarily started at the end of 2007, went to the end of 2008, and looked at all the numbers. We can see BND, which is a total bond market index, ETF. So a whole bunch of different types of bonds. Well, that was up about 7%. Not too bad. Again, it outperformed as if we bought the individual bond. It did better in that particular year, but not quite as good. They didn't have quite the flight to safety that TLT had. And then we have HYG. This is high yield bonds. So these are younger, lower quality companies. This is not like the Microsofts and Apples of the world. This is lower quality companies that, in theory, when you hit a recession, these are the companies that could go out of business. So there's a bit more risk. This one was down. So despite the fact that these are bonds, this is what is perceived to be a safe investment, HYG was down during the recession. Yes, not down nearly as much as the S&P's almost 40% down, but it was down a decent amount. And that's important to recognize because there is a flight to safety where more investments are going into something like TLT. Well, they might sell out of their HYG bonds, or some of those might default, and money will move into TLT. Hence the reason one would be up so much and the other one would be down so much. Okay, now what about the COVID crash? This one was fairly short, more of a recent crash, but I think it'd be an interesting one to look at. So this is from like when they shut down the economy at like March, and this time period was only a little over a month, basically until the government got involved and started propping things up. But the yield going into this is before they dropped interest rates. The yield on the bonds were about 2.75%. So if you bought the individual bond at that time, you know exactly what you would get. Here, the S&P 500 was down 33%. TLT, again, a flight to safety, up 14%. And interestingly, both the other two bond ETFs were down. So I think that this is, for me, this is one of the biggest points one of the biggest takeaways is that although these are investments in bonds, they act very similar to stocks. Granted, a kind of a nuanced version of stocks, but they can be down in bad markets. TLT tends to be the better scenario there. But with that in mind, let's jump over and look at what happens with some interest rate scenarios. First up, falling interest rates. So when the Federal Reserve starts decreasing interest rates, which is kind of the scenario we've been in now, well, what happens? Well, we can actually go back to before the COVID crash, right, of 2020. In 2019, they had started decreasing interest rates. In 2019, the yield, before they started decreasing interest rates, the yield was about 2.9%. The S&P 500, we could see, was up a bit over 10%. In fact, every single one of these ETFs were up a decent, or they were up somewhat, maybe not quite as much as the stock market, but they were up. Falling interest rates tends to help the stock market. Now, if we're curious here, the reason TLT, where you're not having a flight to safety, again, this is before COVID, but you're not having the flight to safety, but TLT is doing better. And that is because TLT has longer duration, which means these are longer term bonds. Before I mentioned these bonds were going about 20 years, 16, 18, 20 years, whatever it is. The longer you're going to hold the bond, the more changes in interest rates will affect the price. Well, BND and BND has the next duration amount, like the next lower duration amount, and then is HYG, which is exactly how those returns came in. So if we were investing in a bond ETF and we thought interest rates were going to drop, well, longer-term bond ETFs would make sense, something like TLT. Now, just to point out that it's not just interest rates. Interest rates are a major factor for bond ETFs and for ETFs in general, for bonds in general. But that's not the only factor. And to illustrate that, well, in 2024, they started dropping interest rates again. Well, you can see the stock market has done very, very well. That goes up till today. So from when right before they started dropping interest rates up to today, S&P is doing fairly good. BND and HYG are both doing fairly good. But interestingly here, TLT, not so much. Now, going back to what I was saying before, a lot of times if you're going to invest in bonds, it's because if you're going to invest in something like TLT, it's a flight to safety. You're looking for a safe investment. Well, let's call a spade a spade. There's been a lot of question marks about the stability of, with government shutdowns and all the different trade wars and things like that. There's been some question marks around let's say the U.S. bond market. But also, another flight to safety is something like gold. And gold is absolutely killing it. And if those investors aren't buying investments like TLT, well, the price is going to get hurt, especially what if they sell their TLT investments and buy if they sell their TLT and buy something like gold or silver, which are absolutely been crushing it lately. Well, you end up with this unusual scenario where in falling interest rate environment, something like TLT is not playing out well, whereas the other two are doing fairly good. Now, what about flip side? What if we weren't decreasing interest rates? Well, instead we were rising. Interest rates were increasing. They were going up. Well, here, this is going back to 2022 when they started increasing interest rates to try to get inflation under control. Well, when they did that, the S&P over that time period was about flat, up a couple percentage points. But as we might expect, TLT was down big, again, longer duration. So those are longer term bonds. The price is more influenced by a change in interest rates, then BND, then HYG. This is exactly what you would expect. But I would point out that in this scenario, if we were afraid that inflation was coming back and interest rates were coming, interest rates are going to come, start moving higher, well, then something like buying an individual bond would actually make a lot of sense. Here, 4.75%, and you can just kind of sit there and safely collect those 4.75%. Now, if we're curious, today, well, I went out and gathered some different types of bonds. So what's the interest rate for different types of bonds? And depending on our risk tolerance, well, we could start with 10-year treasuries where it's at about 4.3%, or work our way all the way down to high-yield corporate bonds like HYG types of bonds. Those are down at 6.5%. Now, of course, you can always find some that are less or some that are more, depending on our risk tolerance. But this gives us an idea of, depending on where we think that the world is going to go, is inflation going to become a problem with the tariffs and all of that stuff? Well, if it does become a problem, raising interest rates is likely the logical move. Individual bond could make more sense. Then again, the current administration is doing what they can to drop interest rates. So if they get rid of the Fed chairman and they eventually force rates lower, or for whatever reason, jobs become a problem, they have to force rates lower, again, maybe something like one of the bond ETFs could make more sense. So going back to the original question, are they the same? Well, no, not really. We saw throughout this entire thing that depending on the broader economic scenario, the results could vary quite wildly. Now, I personally like bond ETFs like a BND or an AGG. AGG is good, or even a TLT. I like these types of bond ETFs when it comes to, as a kind of a diversifier in my portfolio. That way, I'm thinking of it purely if the market crashes, well, here's something that could do fairly well, especially something like TLT. You could get a decent flight to safety, and that could offset it. But depending on the scenario that happens, that we saw a few scenarios where that could turn quite bad. On the flip side, if we were saving up for a house or, a new car or something, and we knew we need the money in 5 years and you need a safe investment, you say, I'm going to invest in bonds. Don't do a bond ETF. Find the individual bond that will mature before you need that actual money. Make sure that do your research, make sure that company's going to stay in business or the US government's going to keep paying or whatever it is. And then at the end, you're going to get that money back. It's very predictable. And in the meantime, you can collect, 4, 5, 6%. So as we can see, bonds and bond ETFs, although they're holding the same underlying assets, they're not they don't react the same way in different market scenarios. Now, if you'd like to sign up to our website where we try to make it quick and easy to analyze companies, well, I will leave a link right here, link in the description below. And thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.